All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. We've been away, we've been gone, enjoying the off season, the quiet serenity of the off season, and I just we're back and we're talking about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm joined by my co-host KB Ken Barrett, not to be mistaken for Shaq Barrett, who I hope to see back under there with the on the defensive side with the Bucks. How you doing?
Good. It's nice to be back. I don't think we really talked since the Cowboys loss.
Yeah, I was on the struggle bus, my friend, struggle bus. But here we are. We're back. We're doing our thing, and I want to get your thoughts on the off season. There's no more Tom Brady, and the
No
offensive,
Lenny.
and no
No
Lenny,
Lenny.
and Lord Byron has been excommunicated from the church,
Mm.
and he's moved on to other places. So
In
it's
fact, he hasn't moved anywhere. See, that's the fun part.
Bud Cannabis, how you doing, my friend? Yeah, I don't like making up news. I don't like regurgitating the same thing over and over again. So, when the season was over, it's like, okay, whatever. We just move on. And losing to Atlanta or losing to Dallas. How you doing, Bud? Losing to Atlanta or losing to Dallas are two really sore subjects for me, and it's pretty much what happened.
It was the
So
backups, man. It was the backups. You got
I
to chill on
I
the Atlanta one.
uh, but again, Atlanta is making improvements. I'm going to be interested to see who ends up under center with Atlanta. What's interesting is around the NFC South. I think the playing field's kind of leveled out a little bit. What would you say?
Well, you know how the Bucks only have Kyle Trask as a QB under their roster. Well, the Saints only have Jameis Winston, which it's basically come out that he's going to get canned. Carolina's about to sign Sam Darnold again, and then Atlanta has their rookie for now second round player from last year who didn't really impress after Marcus Mariota kept them in the season this entire year
Yeah.
because now they just dropped Marcus Mariota as well, which we'll probably get to it at some point. I think he's an intriguing Bucks candidate to be a replacement at quarterback. But yeah, man, the NFC South is pretty nutty right now.
Yeah.
It was already the worst division in football last year, from top
Mm.
to bottom at least, and then now I think a lot of the teams are taking a step back, and ones that are going to make steps forward, they're not going to be big steps. They're going to be very tiny.
That's the idea with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did you hear what Jason Light said? Talking about the offseason, talking about the quarterbacks. I don't know if you got to see his
Oh yeah,
press conference. What did you take away from that?
I think from what Jason's basically trying to say, and I think Todd was a little bit more clear in this, is like, hey, it's we're going to compete, we're going to try to compete, but I mean, Tom Brady's not here. You have to set the reset button a little bit,
Mm,
and I
right.
applaud the organization for not trying to get the next Derek Carr and reset our cap and then be the Saints for the
Mm,
next 5 years.
yeah.
Sometimes you just got to press that reset button.
Yeah.
Guys
Because
like Chris Godwin aren't going anywhere. Mike Evans isn't going anywhere, and they're
because
going to
the
prioritize
whole
signing through people.
yeah, and the whole kick the can down the road. Eventually, you got to pay the price at some point. I
You know
mean, I
how
know
credit
that
card companies make their money? Interest rates. That's
interest
essentially what
rates.
you're doing.
Mhm. So when I look at some of these other teams, like let's talk about the New Orleans Saints. They've been able to get free agent after free agent after free agent. They have not been able to win a Super Bowl since they won. And I mean, they've thrown everything but the kitchen sink at it. And it isn't from lack of trying. And it just
If you
hasn't
ask
happened.
me, the Saints did. I mean, after Drew Brees, I think there's a lot of open criticism that they should be open to. But after Drew Brees, or before Drew Brees, I think they did everything great. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when you think about prime Drew Brees and the Saints,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have a lockdown defense. That
Mm-hmm.
defense improved year after year after
Right.
year after year and
Right.
eventually became their backbone.
Right.
But now it's, I mean, like for an example, like Tyrann Matthew, a great player.
Right.
He shouldn't have been on the Saints' radar last year.
No.
There was no reason for that move.
I would have been looking at the offensive line. I would have been really looking to improve their, in some capacity. You lost a lot of players on both sides of the ball, and you can kind of link that to their salary cap issues that they continuously have. And I think the Bucks have seen that. And this is one of those, this is the ideal time, like you said, to hit the reset button. I wish Josh was on here. What we're looking at next year, and I'm going to jump ahead because I think that's, it gives us something to look forward to. The Bucks are going to be in a very nice position cap-wise 2024. I think it's just weathering this storm right here, and is Todd Bowles your guy? And I don't know what kind of leash he's on, but we're going to find out what he does with the talent that he has this year.
Well, and I think there's no bigger test for Todd Bowles, the coach, than this one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the equivalent of him walking into Mark Sanchez. You know what I mean? This is not a pretty situation, but as you're saying, 2 to 3, the Bucks are in a 2 to 3 year window where if they figure out quarterback,
right,
they're great. They're going to be set up very well for the future. But who's going to be that QB in the next 2 to 3 years? That's going to be is it going to be a draft pick? Is it going to be, the next free agent, a trade? I don't think Aaron Rodgers, for instance, is going to be on the table, but who's going to be that guy next year? And I think next year is the one where you see it, where if it's going to be the draft or if it's going to be free agency.
Yeah. And I think we're, again, I'm being realistic here. I think we're overlooking Kyle Trask. Right now, he's still. I know that the coaches are saying all the right things. You got to roll him out, see what you have, and if he's not the guy, then you move on and you go to next man up, whoever they end up getting. I believe, with Jensen coming back, I would keep Tristan Wirfs where he's at. I keep hearing people talking about move him over.
They're good. They're in the the OTAs that are going to come up and such. They're going to put him there.
I can't grasp this. You've got a Pro Bowl high quality player. Why are you moving him over? And I know it's a deficiency. I think it should be more like your talent evaluators should be trying to find somebody to fill that other side. Leave him alone. He's fine. You know what you have with him, and he can be there for.
And I've been the one who's been saying this for the past 3 years with Tristan, is to not move him over to the left side. But what I will say is, if you're pressing the reset button, there's no better time to do it. I mean, that's what I mean. If they don't do it now, you're never going to do it. But also come at it from Tristan's standpoint. Tristan's going to get paid a lot of fucking money. You know what the difference between the highest paid left tackle and the highest paid right tackle is? Generally about $5 million a year. I think he's interested in seeing what that transition's like as well. So if there is a time to do it, it's okay. Let's see this offseason. The OTAs. Does he feel comfortable? And then I don't think they're going to draft a tackle first, second round.
Yeah.
But they're going to have some right tackle options should that be the case. If not, they'll press the panic button on the left tackle. But I think they're going to give it a try.
Yeah. Well, we saw this with was it Ali Marpet when Dirk Cutter was moving Ali Marpet around and not. I don't know. They're just.
Think about it this way, Gene. So when Ali Marpet first came in the league, what position did he play? Right tackle or right guard, right?
Right guard.
So,
exactly.
And then he goes to center where he took that step back. But was there a step back when he moved to left guard?
No, not really.
So, going from right tackle to left tackle in today's NFL is way different than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
And see, this is great. This is great because this is your neck of the woods right here. What is your perspective because it's a lot of work. It's like playing with your left hand, and then being.
Tristan said it best. Imagine, I've had surgery on my right arm. Imagine eating your bowl of cereal with your left hand. Imagine wiping your butt, which is what Tristan Wirfs said. It's your mentality is like, I'm right hand dominant.
Mhm.
It's when I played in high school, I played both sides of the line, but used a right-handed stance just because I was just so new to football. It was all happening so quickly. But
So
by
it
the
was
time I got to
but see,
college,
it was natural for you to be able to do that because you didn't know any better. I mean, it wasn't like you have come up the ranks and you only
yeah,
know
but
this side of the
Gene,
ball.
I had one summer when I Bucknell recruits me, right? They're
Uh,
like, "Hey, we know you're completely raw. Here's some tape that I want you to watch and just practice going out of a left-handed stance. I want you to do these specific drills for 2 months, and we want to see if you can play both sides." Gene, it was only 2 months. I
mhm.
walked in as the 5th tackle on the depth chart and became the swing tackle within 3, 4 weeks. Like
But
from
that's
with that,
but you adjusted to it though.
but it only took me 2 to 3 months. And for Tristan's standpoint, I would say if it was up to me, I'd say keep him at the right. But
Right,
what I'm trying to say is if there is a time to ever do it, it's before you
right,
pay him left tackle money,
right,
and it's when Tom Brady's not your quarterback and you're in a transition year. So I'm
right.
saying if they're going to try it, worst case, they just throw him back to the right. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it won't be the end of the world, and I don't think it would hurt him mentally, but I do think both sides can benefit
Right.
from that transition because again, Tristan wants that extra money. We're talking about Tristan getting $100 million contract. He might get 110 if he's on the left side,
Damn. I
like
didn't even
that
think
with
about
10
that.
extra
Yeah.
guaranteed. Like like that's Tristan's incentive is because he
Okay.
knows he's coming up on a 5th year option,
That
and he
money.
knows that that money is going to be ginormous
There you
if he's
go.
on the left side.
So let's, while we're here, let's talk about this offensive line. I know a lot of people were not happy with, some of the rookies that the Bucks
And bye
had.
bye Donnie.
Yep. And again, here we are. Donovan Smith is no longer with us. So how I don't see that, I've always, when people have said in the past, we got to get rid of Donovan Smith. He needs to go. He needs to go. He needs to go. But my response has always been, who do you replace him with? That's always been my response. Now we're looking at a situation where he's gone. And now it's like it's wide open competition for everybody out there. And I don't know. I've seen, I just, the penalties were really maddening for me and the lack of concentration. And there were plays where he just like, wasn't there a play where he was fixing his jersey or something like that?
Yeah, that was bad look. Bad luck. He was. I mean, Tom Brady's back there scrambling around,
Yeah,
and he's sitting there pulling his jersey down,
yeah,
like while trying to block someone who
yeah,
eventually runs around him. So
yeah.
that
There
was
you
not
go.
good.
And then you talk about Gadecki. This is Buccaneer Bruce. Thank you so much. Shout out to Buccaneer Bruce. Corey Fleming. What's going on? Um, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about right here. Wirfs has moved to left tackle, and Gadecki should get a shot at right tackle. I think it's trial by fire that he went through. I think a lot of people weren't happy with his play, but you have to factor in he's a rookie. I always look at rookies with that 3-year grace period. So
Especially at the line.
yeah, especially at the O line, at least minimum. And I had a conversation with Jason Light in Germany, and that's something we both agreed on. I don't think that people are like trashing rookies after their first year, second year, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer for him to figure it all out. But he had some good plays. What's going on, Corey? How you doing, man? Sean, how you doing? Um, Again, we'll see how this all plays out. I think that
I have a theory though, Gene. Can I throw
yeah,
it out real quick?
absolutely.
Everyone's talking about Gadecki at right tackle. I'm thinking Gadecki might be right guard. And here's my theory behind it is okay. So, and again, if he plays right tackle, okay, great. But if that doesn't work, I think he's a more natural right guard. I think
Hmm.
his footwork's a little bit better on the
Yeah,
right side. He didn't
yeah,
perform well, in my opinion, in that Atlanta game playing right tackle, but he spent the past 3 months learning left guard.
right.
So I'm not going to hold that against
So
him. But I
yeah, and he is a rookie and learning the speed of the game. Not to mention some of the defenders that the defensive linemen that he went up against. we're scrubs.
Well, and then with that, so right tackle obviously becomes a need, but let's say Gadecki plays right tackle.
Right.
And then there's Shaq Mason, which if there is one player that I think the Bucks would trade this offseason, it would be Shaq Mason, because what happened, right after the whole Brady situation of him coming back, Marpet retires,
Right.
and then it's, hey, we need someone. Like, Shaq Mason isn't a guy that is a Jason Light guy. You know what I mean? He was, hey, who's available? Oh, he's the best guy. He's available. Okay, day 3 pick. Let's send that off. Let's all just move forward. Right. Well, when you're in that rebuilding year, Shaq Mason's going to save you some money too, and might recoup that 4th round pick that we traded last year, for instance, to move up for Zion McCollum. So with that standpoint, you could be looking at an interior offensive line of Nick Leverett at left guard, Ryan Jensen being the veteran at center, obviously right. Tristan Wirfs at left tackle, and then you have either Hainsey or Gadecki at right guard, right tackle. Because remember, Hainsey played right tackle in college too.
That's right. So this is not a far stretch for him to be able to do this.
Exactly. So from my standpoint, I'm going to be very curious to see if Shaq Mason's on our roster come, OTA's training camp.
So what kind of cap? How much would he save the Bucks as far as cap goes?
I don't know this off the top of my head. Let me look this up real quick. Contract, and let's go Spotrac.
And
all right. So for Shaq Mason, his contract for this upcoming year is he has a $4 million dead cap. However, we would save around $5 million. So again, it would be $5 million in savings. You probably get a day 3 pick in return. Again, I think that's the only move I could foresee the Bucks doing. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all that kind of shit is just smoke and mirror right now.
Right.
At least in my head.
And I get sick of hearing that year after year. Oh, the Mike Evans to the Jets, Mike Evans to the Bears.
Mike Evans is going to cost us $17 more million against the cap if he's gone.
Yeah, you don't want that in your life. So, in trying to explain that to people, that's kind of why I got on social media, because somebody pinged me a picture of Mike Evans in a Bears jersey. I almost threw up in my mouth. But then I was like, come on, seriously? As much money as it would cost the Bucks to trade him or move him, it's just not fiscally responsible to do something like that.
Well, in national media, the reason why it's even a story is because they think, oh, the Bucks are going to eat the Brady money. Oh, they can eat more money. Well, no, if they re-signed or if they traded Mike Evans, the Bucks aren't bringing in anyone more than like $2 or $3 million in free agency. Bye Dean, bye David. I think Dean's probably not going to resign, but I know everyone wants Levante David back. David probably wants $10 million. That's the Mike Evans trade immediately mixes that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and this is my hot take, folks. I think David is back here next year.
Oh, Jason Light scared me, man. Did you see what Pewter Report posted?
Yeah,
they had like a side little convo, and that if he was at a poker table, man, I'm throwing my chips in the middle. I'm like, I got a full house. There's no way you have a better one than I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Emily was asking, am I the only one surprised Fournette wanted out?
I think that's saving face. No, I think it's saving face on Fournette saying that he's the one who wanted out. Because remember, Tom Brady hadn't really officially retired after Lenny saying he went to the Bucs and said, hey, release me. So I don't think that's really the conversation that went down. But it's like, hey, we mutually did it, blah, 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 blah. But give me Rachaad White, give me, whoever they're probably going to draft, probably 3rd, 4th, 5th round. I'm more than okay. And then you still have Keyshawn Vaughn here too. Gio's not going to be back. Just run with 3 running backs. And we'll be good.
Yeah. And I think that's who you build off of is Rachaad White. I like what he can do. I still think I know that he could probably be an every down back, but again, I would like to see a little bit more of Keyshawn Vaughn, see what he can do. And again, you never know what's going to happen with the draft. And free agency, again, is another thing that we kind of have to factor in. But again, it all remains to be seen. But just kind of finishing up on the offensive line, when you look at what the Bucs ended up with on the offensive line, this offensive line this year is not going to look like the offensive line when the season starts. I think there are a lot of players that people have forgotten about because of injury. And I really believe that the Buccaneers are going to look a whole lot better on the offensive line than what they did at the end of the year.
A lot of that's going to come down to scheme, baby.
Yeah.
So
now,
we'll get into
now,
him a little
here
bit.
we go. Now, here we go. So I'm gonna segue into something else here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have moved on from Lord Byron, as we like to call him, and have a new offensive coordinator in town. And I don't know. Have you seen the press conference?
Yes.
What were your takeaways from that press conference?
So, if everyone likes Kyle Shanahan, if you like Sean McVay, that's essentially what you're going to get. And the biggest thing for me to really throw out is, so the Seahawks going into last offseason decimated on the offensive line.
Yep.
Geno and Drew Lock are their quarterbacks.
Right.
Yes, they had DK and Tyler, and then they had Rashad Penny, and then obviously they had the kid from Michigan State, Kenneth Walker III, who went off. So they had skill players, right?
Yeah.
So what do the Bucs have? They have skill players. What don't they have? There's probably some consistency on the offensive line. Oh, and a quarterback, by the way.
Yeah.
Going into this season, going into last season, if you asked anyone who had a better career trajectory between Kyle Trask and Geno Smith, I'm going to tell you that people would probably have picked Kyle Trask. So from that standpoint, what is Dave Canales going to bring everyone? He's going to come in, bring some simplicity and also opportunity to play to the player's strengths. Because I think what BA was able to do was say, hey, Tom, this is my scheme. Okay, Tom, it's not really working for you. We're not winning. Let's kind of reevaluate a little bit.
They made adjustments. And
it took 12 weeks, but you know what? That was when the bye week was.
Right. And the one thing that I take away from last season is there were no adjustments made offensively. There were just, you would get a really cool play that was schemed up, but then it was followed up by predictability for, the next 10, 15 minutes. And that's kind of what I took away from it, is that the offense there, you would never have guessed that Tampa had offensive weapons that they could go to. And I understand there were injuries throughout the season. I understand injuries on the offensive line, but that scheme was not conducive to winning games. And
that's the thing. It was, we've talked about the Rick Stroud and Peter Report basically reporting that, Byron was being told, hey, you must run X amount of time. So in his mind, it was, okay, I'm just going to run just to run, not because the situation called for it, not because, the defense is catering to a certain play style. So I think we can beat them in the run. No, for instance, when we played Seattle last year, what have I been saying for years on how to beat the Todd Bowles Bucs defense, especially after 2020? Everyone's like, oh my God, this is the best defense in the NFL, blah, 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 blah. No, Sean McVay figured it out. Yeah. You don't run the ball against the Bucs. So what did the Seahawks do? Granted, I think they were overmatched in that game. The Bucs offense was actually playing really well, and that was probably their best offensive performance of the year. So imagine if they just played a middle-of-the-road game, the Seahawks probably win in Germany. And they just abandoned the run.
Yeah, most definitely.
So that tells you Dave Canales is going to come in, be able to cater to what is needed.
Right. There you go. Emily, I haven't done this for a while, and my camera is acting all weird. I'll probably have to buy a new camera. But no, it's the camera. It's not the shirt. If you'll notice, everything looks washed. It's just the camera. So bear with it this week. We'll have a better camera next week, to your satisfaction, of course. And that was good. She don't pull no punches, so that's just what it is.
Hey, I haven't gone out yet.
Huh?
I haven't gone out yet.
Why not?
No, I haven't gone out.
I know, man. What's up with that? See, we're living in a bizarro world here. So, kind of getting back to answer her question. And Emily's like, I like that OC seems excited about Rachaad White. Do you like him because he's good looking, or do you like him because you like the potential of what he can do as an OC, Emily? So that's
well, if you know anything about him, there's the video that's kind of been circulating about his struggles when he was married, like coaching in Seattle, and his career taking off and not really jiving for his marriage. He has two brothers who are very athletic. So Emily, I think one of them is not married, but yeah, no, this guy has been very open about his faith. Like I'm very excited because he's someone who came to that podium, was able to take a lot of abstract concepts and then share it to the media and us fans, and then be able to say, hey, I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you how we're going to operate. And he was able
you know
to
what,
come in clear and concise.
And I have to say that gave me confidence watching this offensive coordinator. He wasn't chuckling or smirking. Hey, look at the hound. Howdy, buddy. So, you know what I'm saying? Like our previous offensive coordinator taking offense to what people were saying. They asked him questions. He answered the questions. And I think what it's going to come down to is execution. We're going to see if if he delivers on what he's talking about.
Well, and with that, so if we want to talk about execution real quick, and then we can get off this subject. So what's the biggest issue that we've heard with Byron and even Bowles in the Bucs for the past 4 years? It's been communication, right?
Right.
So Dave Canales, have you ever seen, remember the Titans, where he's like, I run the same 4 plays like they're Novocaine? Yeah. What Dave Canales is going to do is he's going to run the same probably 12 plays in like 17 different formations, just dress it up, throw a little sprinkle and some salt on the top.
Yeah.
And that's essentially, so there should be no more, the receiver was supposed to break here when the DB went there. That's all done.
That's something I'm really curious to watch. So if we go back to, let's go back to Lovie Smith. Well, no, let's go back to, I guess it would have been Lovie Smith. Mike Evans has consistently had communications issues. It's just been, was it Lovie Smith it was Lovie Smith. But anyway, always had communications issues. And it's always been something where I don't know how to describe it, but we saw a lot of it with Chris Godwin year before last. And this is something that when they're clicking, they're on point. But, when they're having problems, then you kind of see that a little bit more. Communication is huge. We saw that in 2020 when the Bucs were hitting in the playoffs. The communication was stellar, was solid, and they were getting stuff done. And that's kind of what you want to get back to. And just being able to overcome adversity. And I want the Bucs to play to win. I don't want them to play to go into overtime. And this goes back to coaching. And this is like something I can hope that they can put out of my mind, because I am more than happy to do a Todd Bowles apology tour if he turns things around in my mind to where, I think the Bucs are competitive or they can do something.
I think the hire of Dave Canales is giving me more faith in Todd, because I think it shows that he learned from his mistakes, or maybe he didn't have the power and control that he had in New York, because I'll take Jason at his word saying, hey, I was sitting in on the interviews.
Yeah,
I was sitting on the interviews, but it's Todd's decision essentially. So I think he hired a good one. Dave Canales was the first to say, hey, you don't really turn down your first real opportunity like this. I'm in sales. I'm now jumping from one opportunity to the other, like literally starting next week. So it's like, I understand, like he, again, is throwing out, hey, like I've been a quarterbacks coach for like 10 years. I was a strength coach back in USC. Like when I came in, like I gave some ideas, they helped us win a Super Bowl. And that's what's kind of jump-started me to want to be able to take that leap. And that's why you weren't going to get Todd Monken to be your offensive coordinator. You were going to get the Bengals OC. You weren't going to get the Eagles quarterbacks coach. You're not going to get those opportunities because they have opportunities on the table. Dave really does not.
Now, to that point, this is something I've kind of argued as well. Was this a good situation? Was coming to Tampa a good situation for any of these other coordinators?
No, and I think that's why Dave.
And that's there we
makes
go.
sense. It's
That's
because
kind of because
he
it's
can
so
make a lot
much.
of money.
Yeah, and there's so much uncertainty here. But if he, because now he's the guy that's installing the plays, calling the play, he's doing everything. He's going from quarterbacks coach to he's that guy. He's the man. And I tell you what, this is a great opportunity for him. This will look good on his resume. And I think he'll get other opportunities if, just depending on how things work out as we move forward. But, like you say, it was a name that I wasn't expected. And I'm glad to see some fresh blood, in the offensive coordinator situation.
And I think for both Todd and Dave, I think the Bucks, other than maybe Joe Gilbert, I think he's one that I just haven't been a fan of in his time in Tampa. But they kept some of their good position coaches, and I think they were able to recruit some really good ones to come in as well. So again, it's not just the coordinators; it's who else is around.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to see Coach Lowe still here. I never understood that particular firing, but
I do, and I can explain off camera. But yeah, I do. But
okay,
anyway, yeah. So again, it's one of those things where you just kind of have to just keep everything in perspective. And normally I can remember years and years and years and years ago where I was like emotional. Oh man, they got rid of all these players. Now what are we going to do? Or they got rid of these coaches. Tom Brady's gone. What are we going to do? The sky's falling. I would like to see what they can build with what they have. I don't think this is the 2018 Bucks. I don't think this is the 2017 Bucks. I think this is a team where Todd Bowles, if he just get that defense keep the defense healthy, and those guys go out and play like we know they can. I don't see the defense as a liability. I'd just like to see them all put it all together and put 4 quarters of football together as the season progresses.
Yeah, I mean, you said it pretty well there, and just in general, I think it's just going to be. And again, this is why we. I know you weren't the biggest, on the Tom Brady train when he first came in,
dude.
But what I'm trying to say is, you figured out really quickly.
Yeah.
Hey, this is like
this is not Jameis Winston. That's what I figured out. Jameis, but like no. You got to understand, and again, you know where I was, why I was as upset as I was.
No. But what I'm saying is, from a fan perspective,
right,
with the Tom Brady era. And remember, a lot of people bitched about Brady. A lot of people bitched about, the Brady antics and, being able to, all the losses are his fault. All the picks are his. Like there's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo in there.
Right.
But even our 0-2 defense never got as much love nationally as the past 3 years. So it was, hey, why the fuck are we bitching about Tom Brady being here? We won the Super Bowl and then we got a lot of cloud and like this team is not going to have those types of expectations. Maybe not in either of our 2 lifetimes.
No,
unless they drafted Patrick Mahomes, unless they drafted Josh Allen, there's not going to be those kinds of expectations.
Historically, the Bucks have just done horrible with quarterbacks. It's just been what it is.
The only one who signed a second contract is Brady.
Yeah.
He was 45 when he signed it. 44 when he signed it.
Go figure. Hey, Emily, thank you so much. Emily comes with both barrels when she comes in here. She's like, so yeah, my man. Hey, I'm so impressed. What did you do different with your internet? I have to ask that question.
I mean, this is my Mac, which I've had.
The listeners want to know what's up with the internet.
I mean, this is my Mac. I've done these on my Mac before, but today it's just going swell, I guess.
Showing love, man. I love it. Okay, so I do want to stick on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, probably touch on defense later or whatever. But and because I do want to go around the NFC South a little bit too. But what are your thoughts on the wide receiver room? You move on from
it's going to be Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Russell Gage.
You think they bring Russell Gage back?
Yeah, I think he's not going to save you much money. He's not going to get you a draft pick. So, hey, buddy, this is your chance. Like, you want to be Tyler Lockett because Chris Godwin's going to be playing outside.
Yeah.
And I know that's going to be
and
for
folks,
a lot of people. But
folks, you're going to see the 2021 Chris Godwin before the injury. That's who you're going to see this year.
I think you're going to see 2019 Chris Godwin.
This guy is hungry. He's 100% healthy. This is the one thing we saw Chris Godwin towards the back end of the season, and the guy was balling out. He was just balling out. He got over 1,000 yards. So,
yeah, but he also wasn't himself, though. I think
right. But you're recovering from a catastrophic, dirty ass hit from.
Oh God.
But none don't want to regress there. But he's recovering from a catastrophic injury, and it takes forever to heal something like that. But what we saw on the back end of the season was Chris Godwin making those plays, making those catches, looking comfortable with his cuts, looking comfortable with his routes. And that's what we've been waiting for. We were waiting for that all season. And, I know it takes a little bit to get back into football shape. And psychologically, when you have an injury the way that he had, getting your confidence back to go out and play at a higher level where you're not worried about injuring yourself, because that's, and you may know this, or having played at a high level yourself, when you get any kind of injury, it's in the back of your head, man, I don't want to get injured again, so I'm going to have to kind of change the way I do things. So there's a psychological aspect of it, and just seeing Chris Godwin back out there balling at the end of the season, I was happy with that.
You a Jerry Maguire fan?
Yes.
So from Chris Godwin's standpoint, again, he's going to get healthy. But what did Rod Tidwell not want to do? He didn't want to run over the middle for $5 million, right? He wanted that $10 million contract to run over the middle. So that's not going to be Chris Godwin anymore. He's going to play some slot, sure, but he's going to be an outside primary receiver. He's going to be a Z. Like, this is what Chris Godwin's going to be moving forward. And what that's going to do is that's going to take those hits off of him, because he was doing all the dirty work for BA.
Right. Yes, he was.
So he's going to come. I mean, I don't want to speculate to numbers, because I think the wide receiver numbers are going to come down to who's playing quarterback.
Yeah.
I think that's going to play a lot into it. But I think you're going to see a more dynamic, a healthier, and a more explosive Chris Godwin, because he's not just doing the dirty work over the middle. He's able to stay fresher for the longer period of the season and be able to put up, I think, his 2019 numbers, which with a decent quarterback, which is what you pay a receiver $20 million a year to do.
Right. And with what the offensive coordinator was talking about, if we can see some of that, the unpredictability, just situational football, it's getting back to simplicity, but still making complex plays out of, simple setups and stuff. I don't know. I'm excited to see it. I'm anxious to see what this offense is going to look like, and we're going to have to get past camp in order to see that. We're going to have to get to the regular season to get some idea of what this offense is going to look like.
Agreed. And so again, that's where Tristan Wirfs and all that's going to take place.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The playbook and all that.
KGH, what's going on? KGH for life. Thank you for checking us out. I want to see Tompkins and Geiger. We'll see what they can do with this in this offense. I would love to see Tompkins. I'm curious to see, how he can be utilized. I love his speed, and I guess with everybody that was in there and how the offense was being run, I would love to see somebody who can take a player like that and play to his strengths and see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks scheme has short, fast guys who had success. So is Scotty Miller in play? I think Scotty's always going to be in play, just because if not the Bucs, someone's going to find use out of him.
I just think he was underutilized. I don't know. And there's a couple of things that I look at with Scotty Miller. Was it that Brady lost faith in him because of the drop balls, or was it the way the scheme was being run? I think it was Scotty's mental, for one. That's why you saw him body catching and jumping for unnecessary balls. And then secondly, the Bucs didn't use him. Like, for instance, when in 2019, when he goes up against the Vegas Raiders and the Green Bay Packers before halftime, those two
No, but what I'm saying, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what the play situation was, he was not press man. Someone cleared a route for him. Past 2 years, it's been Scotty. Just run a 9 route. Scotty, we'll deviate. We'll run you a slant. Let's do that, or maybe just a curl. No, like Scotty was, especially against like the Saints. Like I think that's the biggest dichotomy of when you saw him being successful in 2020 and early 2021 is when he wasn't, being man on man. But the Bucs, I mean, Scotty was the guy you have to man because you can't man Mike, you can't man Chris, so you can man him, and he just couldn't get past the man-to-man coverage. So I think it's a little bit of both. So again, if they re-sign him, great. If not, great. I think you can always find some speed anywhere in the NFL these days.
So to everybody in the chat or anybody that's listening, if you're listening to the show after the fact, I'd love to hear from you. I posed this question. I'm going to put this out here because I am going to ask this question in a couple weeks, and then when we get closer to the draft, I'll do something with the information. But name a player in the NFL that you hate so much that you would not want them on your team. So for me, it would be me personally is Roddy White. I remember there was a time where Roddy White was was a free agent, and everybody's like, all Bucs fans were going nuts. Oh, we need to get Roddy White. I hate Roddy White. I would never want him on this team. But I know so far on Twitter, I posed this question on Twitter, and Cam Jordan is the hands down winner with Tom Brady a distant second. Crazy, huh? So, if you get a chance and you're listening to this, just hit me up in the chat or just, wherever. I'd love to hear from you guys. I've heard Steve Smith. I've heard Cam Jordan. I've heard Marshawn Lattimore. I've heard Alvin Kamara because he might beat you up if you say something wrong. So there is that.
Curious to see if he gets suspended this year.
He will. He will. I'm almost positive he has to. There was another, and I don't know where these videos came from, but there was another video where he was bragging about punching this guy's face in. So you can't. That's a huge assault charge right there.
Yeah, but I just don't.
I don't know. It is Vegas, so I'm not sure how that's going to play out.
Well, they let him play in the.
I know because, but I don't think that everything had come out as far as the grand jury. Didn't he get indicted after the season was over?
No, his court date's coming up, or no, I think he just did recently or something.
Yeah, he just
his court date's coming up.
He got indicted after all the football was over, which again, to a layman like me and you, a commoner like me and you, that would never happen. We would be.
I don't know, Gene.
Died and laid down to the side if it was both of us. So
our court system has been pretty messed up since COVID in terms of scheduling and needing to push a lot of stuff back.
Yeah, but again, you're talking about a guy, a millionaire, a guy that makes a lot of money, and the court system is built for people with wealth. So there is that. But anyway, I want to kind of get over to the. We talked a little bit about the salary cap, and I think with the Bucs making moves, and again, folks, you got to trust Jason Light. Until Jason Light is gone, I believe this about coaches and general managers. You kind of have to let it play out and see what their body of work looks like, and that way you can compare somebody's body of work to somebody else's body of work. But if they're in the midst of coaching or being the general manager, it's not really a fair assessment to say, oh, this guy did this guy did this. You kind of have to let the body of work speak for itself to kind of see how it all, there's so many factors, and, a lot of times it's subjective, but again, Jason, like the fact that he was able to go out right the year after the Super Bowl, when people are normally have the biggest heads and they want to go out and explore the market and see what they can do somewhere else and see if they can get more money. In a free agency era, the fact that he was able to bring everybody back after a Super Bowl says a lot about him. And I know that, you had to cut some corners and you had to do a lot of things, and we're paying the piper this year, probably because he's creamsicle. I am not looking forward to creamsicle.
But the thing is, though, let's say if the Bucs did win the Super Bowl 2020, let's say they won in 2021 or 2022, is anyone upset?
No,
are
not at all. No.
No, but there are a lot of Bucs fans are very upset, Gene. And what I'm trying to say is, imagine if everything went opposite. Let's say first year Tom Brady comes in, they go 8-9, and then second year they, lose in the playoffs to the eventual Super Bowl champion, and then they win the Super Bowl. Everyone's upset because there seemed to be a regression each year, when really, no, like Jason Light did what you're supposed to do.
And the injuries, these are key injuries to key players at key times of the season.
Everyone's got injuries, though. Like that. That's,
no,
Tristan
Wirfs getting injured right before you play the Rams is huge. It's huge.
He sat in week 17. That's when he got hurt.
Right, but you see what I'm saying here.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying, though, everyone's injured, though.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, when you look at that defense, that Rams defense,
Tristan Wirfs is amazing. If AB plays in that game, do you think we win?
Oh yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Tristan Wirfs is probably the best tackle in the NFL, or one of the top 3. You can do Trent Williams.
But he's he's easily on that side of the ball. He's easily giving you 1,000, 2 1,000.
Yeah, but my point is, though, if AB plays, remember, Godwin was already hurt. Tristan's hurt.
Right.
I'm saying if AB plays in that game, we probably win. And with that, I think the whole injury, excuse, I just can't buy into injury. I just can't do it because everyone at that point is fucked. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl on an MCL tear.
Right. And 100%. I totally agree with you. And again, this, when you look at that line, I mean, I know it's next man up. You have to do what you do. But that, to me, Tristan Wirfs was a catastrophic injury. Catastrophic. Oh. And I don't believe – I don't know. We can't play what if. I don't – you're right. And I try not to play what if or anything like that. And, just how important Tristan Wirfs was. And when you look at the personnel, yeah, you're absolutely right. So I'm going to go publicly. You're hearing me. I'm on video. Can't take this away. It's on the internet. It's on the internet forever. I'm going to agree with you. Yeah, if you can't go by injury. But I feel like with AB is, with the quitter was gone. The quitter was already out of the equation from the Jets game on. So we can write him up as a I don't know how you want to call that, a season-ending injury or whatever you want to call him. He's not a factor. He never would have been a factor just because the guy's a psychopath. But with Wirfs gives Tom Brady a little bit more time. It's just my opinion. But when you talk about, we're talking about facts, concrete, this is what it is, this is what it is. Yeah. You look at the wide receiver room. You didn't have anybody. Scotty Miller is not a number 2. He's proven he's not a number 2. He's not even, I would venture to say he's not a number 3.
I think he's a wide receiver 5 these days. I don't even think he's a 4.
Yeah. I would take an Adam Humphries over a
he hasn't played in a while now.
I'm just saying. I'm saying when you're making comparisons here, I would take an Adam Humphries over Scotty Miller.
Yeah, but the Bucs weren't playing with an Adam. And that's where the whole BA scheme is, detrimental in order to play that game, because short little white boy, slow playing slot is not what BA did. That's why Chris Godwin was there. Again, that's where it's just hard to compare. Where I think Jason Light went wrong was we won the Super Bowl. We brought everyone back. Let's just draft a bunch of backups. Again,
instead of looking for upgrades.
Imagine if there was a cornerback of that season that was drafted in the second round. That's where you can throw blame at Jason Light. I think that's probably where the Bucs went wrong that particular season in 2021. And then last year, I think it was just trusting, hey, that Leftwich was going to come in. But I don't think anyone envisioned this past season being as bad as it was.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Just Byron. I thought that Tom would have a little bit more input or more say. I really don't. I don't know.
What have we learned about Tom? Tom is, hey, just tell me what I fucking need to know. Peyton Manning, when he went to Denver, I mean, that's why what's his face, Adam Gase, became this big thing, because Peyton came and was like, okay, we're running my shit. Like Tom Brady came in, he ran the Buck shit. He didn't run Brady stuff. He didn't run Patriot stuff. It was, okay, we can mold the BA thing, sure. But it was like, hey, you just tell me what to do. I'll watch my film. I'll prepare. I'll call the plays. Or, you know, if I need to say Byron, fuck you. But
yeah, and that's kind of where we are right now, you know, with that. So, I don't know. I'm talking for 50 minutes. It's crazy. So, what are your thoughts on the combine? I mean, I have not even delved into the your draft boards or anything like that. I haven't even looked at one. So, what are you seeing?
Cornerback depth, which is what the Bucs need, because, like I said earlier, I don't think Dean's going to come back. I think he's just going to price himself out.
Yeah.
And then I think you're going to probably see, if I had to just, you know, I think they're going to find a safety, a strong safety in free agency, like the next Keanu Neal. I think they want to draft a safety. I think that this is how the first 4 rounds, I think, are going to go in my head. It's going to go either an offensive line or defensive line edge. Then it's going to be, depending on what they do at tackle. That's what I think, that's where that caveat is. And then second round, I think, is for sure going to be a cornerback. I think third round is going to be a safety. And I think fourth round is going to be, or depending on where their picks are, or if they're fourth or fifth, it's going to be a cornerback. SMB is going to be gone.
Most definitely.
So that's, I think those are the positions to really watch. I think, again, they're probably going to take a running back at some point. I don't think it's going to be early. I think they're going to probably take maybe like a linebacker very, very late, like like a couple backup.
So are they planning they're planning for Lavonte to not be around very much longer?
No, I would just say I think Lavonte just might not be ready to sign right now. I think he might want to go to the open market, see what happens. I mean, Bobby Wagner's going there right now as well. So who knows who wants him, how much they're willing to pay. If the difference is $1 million between Tampa Bay and, let's say, Dallas, I think he'll stay in Tampa. But I think what Bucs fans need to understand is, hey, if Lavonte leaves, it might not be the worst thing in the world, because let's say he does go to, let's say, Dallas. Let's say Lavonte goes there and absolutely crushes it. No, but, Gene, I know you hate Dallas. Let's say he goes there and absolutely crushes it. What do you think that does to his Hall of Fame status?
Can we say the Giants or somebody?
No, because in the top 6 jersey sales this year, the Cowboys had 3. So what I'm trying to say is, let's say Lavonte goes there, gets a Pro Bowl, All-Pro. I'm saying, what do you think that does to his Hall of Fame legacy?
Oh, yeah. It does a lot for him because he's getting exposure somewhere else.
So that's what I'm saying. So Lavonte's not going to go to the Falcons. He's not going to go to the Panthers. He's going to go to someone who's going to be in competition for the Lombardi Trophy if he were to leave Tampa. So that's why it's like, hey, if Lavonte goes, embrace the rebuild. Just love him for the time that we had.
Yeah. Chris Cole, what's going on, buddy? I had a question. Jalen Carter.
Not a good time to play a little Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Is that somebody that you could see dropping to like the second or third round? I mean,
I don't know about second or third round, but think about it. What happened the night of the draft for La'el Collins? Or not, there's La'el Collins, who there was like some kind of murder thing, wound up going to the Cowboys undrafted. But that was because there was an ongoing murder.
Yeah, murder investigation. Yeah.
But what was the tackle for the Texans? What's his name? Oh my God, he got drafted by the Dolphins.
Laramie Tunsil.
Laramie Tunsil. So literally an hour before the draft starts, someone leaks out a video of him smoking some marijuana.
His stepdad did him dirty like that.
No, but what I'm saying is we know what that can do to your draft stock. So Jalen Carter already has some.
Look at Warren Sapp. That
Yeah,
is
but
like he was the ideal. I mean, back at that time when weed was the devil and all this other stuff, it's like his draft stock just dropped because he should
But
have been.
what's different from now? Then this was going to be my whole point of my little rant here.
Okay.
What's the difference between now and Warren Sapp and even Laramie Tunsil? What has really grown since those two incidents?
I see what you did there. Weed. You grow weed, grown weed, grow weed. I see
Social
what you did there.
media. No, and also the access to public information. Like, for instance, like the teams have so much more on these players than we can even understand, let alone have that information to ourselves.
Right.
But as fans, we can go on Athens police department's website and be able to find information on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the NFL teams are going to know, hey, is there going to be jail time involved? If there is, then yes, he's going undrafted.
Yeah.
Is it probationary? Like, that's just it. All of that has to play out. Like,
and this is still fresh. This is not even like seven hours ago. So this is
this
real
all
fresh.
happened like 3 a.m. this morning.
Yeah. You know what? This is what I can't wrap my head around this, and it's probably because of my age. I'm an ancient guy, but if I'm a millionaire, instant millionaire, I'm getting a driver, or I'm going to the hood and get one of my homies to drive my car around with the understanding that you're going to be sober as long as you're driving me around.
And with that, so Bud is talking about the kicker who obviously I was high on, but the reason why they took him in the 6th round when the Bucs took a punter in the 4th round, the Ravens took a punter in the 4th round. They weren't better than that kid. So that tells me probably 2 of the top 5 best run organizations in the NFL from a GM standpoint, the Ravens, the Bucs. The Bills are probably in that top 5, but
yeah, they have to be.
How many? I mean, so the Bills had so many draft picks, and the Bills kind of like were what we were after the Super Bowl. Like, we don't have to fill anything, so it's like, hey, we'll take a flyer on this kid. You know what? If they found, as soon as the information came out and was public, gone.
Yep.
So like they had that luxury. Now, if they took a punter in the 3rd or 4th round, which is what many thought that the kid was gonna go, then that tells me they didn't know. They knew.
Yeah.
The Bills
knew. Absolutely. You know they did. Kind of while we're talking about kickers, special teams, I heard the interview with Jason Light, and he mentioned Ryan Succop.
Yes.
Just a little bit. I was thinking, we're talking about a youth movement. We're talking about a rebuild. Do you move on from him? If you're a GM,
they're going to bring in a good kicker. They're going to bring in someone.
Now, is our guy from last year is Jose? Is he still on Jose? Jose is not.
He got claimed by someone else, I believe. I think he was on someone else's roster for most of the year. So that's someone. I think they bring in someone who's maybe has a little bit more pizzazz because. I think Jose just showed you he couldn't even handle the pressure in a preseason game. So, like, why go down that bridge? Bring in someone else and just kind of see what goes on. Maybe take a flyer on the 2nd or 3rd best kicker who didn't get drafted. And they come in, they're like, hey, here's a chance to win a job.
Because they're unproven commodities, do you lean more towards free agents? I mean, realistically, do you lean more towards free agents? I mean, is that a realistic, when it comes to kickers? Because the one thing I will say about Ryan Succop, and as a huge Bucs fan, and it's a fan show, we talk fan stuff here. Ryan Succop made you forget the Bucs ever had a kicking problem. Going back to Matt Bryant, made you forget it. I mean, right now, if you're as you're going through it and cycling through in your head. And you think about Ryan Succop since he's been here, have you ever been that guy that's just been like on the edge of your seat? Oh, man, he just missed this other one. He might miss this one. Have you or have you been comfortable? Oh, it's Ryan Succop. He's going to go out and do what he needs to do. I mean, I could understand when you're getting outside of 50 yards or whatever. But overall, with his time as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, have you been like on the edge of your seat, like, God, I don't know. He might make this one. He might not make this one. How have you kind of felt about that situation?
He only missed kicks in games that we were up by multiple touchdowns, like where he missed multiple kicks in a game, for instance. And then, yeah, he had a couple blocked or whatever.
Yeah, but you can't blame that on him. You got to look at the.
Well, I think one of them was pretty low and like later in the year, but that was an important kick. But what I'm basically trying to get to is kicker, in my opinion, is the second most volatile position in the NFL year to year. Because what happened during our game against the Cowboys, who Brett Maher was one of the best kickers in the regular season, postseason, the past couple years.
Right.
Like kicker fluctuation. Mason Crosby is the only kicker I've really seen have really bad years, and the Packers and the team just be like, okay, we're just going to keep him. Like, unless your name's Justin Tucker, Evan McPherson blew the doors out of the NFL 2 years ago when the Bengals got to the Super Bowl. Had a pretty down year last year. So kicker volatility, I'm a big fan of, hey, you bring in someone every year. I don't think, unless you have Justin Tucker, like you just cycle in some guys, just every so often.
Because you only got one job. Go out there and make that kick. That's all you got to do.
Especially when if you have a punter who does kickoff duties.
Yeah.
So again, that makes it even easier.
Yeah, there you go. Coach Emily, if it was over 50. You're right, Coach Emily. That's right. That's kind of what I'm seeing. So
well, but that's where again that came down to coach. Like if Ryan Succop's your kicker, you don't make him do something that he can't do. Very well.
You're playing to his strengths.
So if it's 4th and 6 from the 43, you go for
it,
or you go for 4th down. Like that. That's where the Bucs.
But this and see now again you've re-aggravated the nerves in my head here, because this is where I'm struggling with Todd Bowles. Are you going out to win this game? Put your balls on the table and say, "Hey, man, I'm going out here and we're going to do this. We're going to win this game."
The Todd Bowles brand of football works, though. The Cowboys had one of the best years in the best offenses in the NFL last year, and they let their offensive coordinator go, Kellen Moore, because he didn't want to run the ball more. Coaches have the mentality of, hey, running wins games. And that's perfectly fine. But what Dave Canales and other of the top, I'm not saying Dave Canales is one of the top OCs, but what Dave Canales and all of these younger guys, what they're basically saying is, if I score 30 points, which the Bucs did in 2020, so the Bucs should
2021 too.
If
remember,
if you score 30 points, that makes it easier on your defense.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the idea. That's just, it's old. I don't want to say old school versus new school, but there's the coaches who have been doing it for 30 or 40 years.
Right.
That's what they know. It's like, I mean, I work in sales. There's some very old school salespeople who are going door to door every day for 50 years, and you tell them to sell in today's economy on a Zoom call. That's not their specialty.
No, it's not. You're setting them up for failure.
That's where I'm coming in and saying, hey, like whether if it's your kicker, whether if it's your offensive coordinator, whatever it is, you need to put the players in a situation to succeed. Like Mike Evans should not only be running 2 routes on a route tree. Chris Godwin shouldn't be blocking stand-up defensive ends that are 260
or linebackers, or even linebackers.
But what I'm saying is, again, that's not a recipe for long-term sustained success. Running the ball is still a sustainable model in the NFL. Pete Carroll's been doing it.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll once forgot, or they prepared for an entire team to even just pass on them the entire game, and it was like, oh, they just ran the ball down our throats.
Yeah,
because we just never adjusted, and we game planned something.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking.
But he learned from his mistake.
Right. Again, that learned how to make adjustments, and that's the coaches that learn how to make adjustments and do make adjustments are the ones that are successful. Look at even Andy Reid. Andy Reid, made some adjustments at halftime in that Chiefs game, Super Bowl game, and it paid off for him. The coaches, the new coaches, the new school of coaches realize how important it is to make adjustments, and you can't set up your plays and expect this is what I'm going to run throughout the season, because it's just not the answer. It's not going to work. So again, that's just kind of where we are, man. I'm looking forward to, to see what, how they improve, what the improvements are, where they where they make adjustments and, they bring in players that are better, upgrades from the players that they've lost. So it's going to be an interesting season. So we're getting ready to roll out of here. And KB, thank you again for coming on, man. I wish, I wish we had done this sooner, but we're here. We've kind of covered everything. I think we're caught up. Creamsicle and orange, guys, this season. I'm not looking forward to it because I still have PTSD, but everybody else enjoy yourself. And this will probably be the last time you'll see me in Creamsicle until, I don't know, end of season maybe. So just give me what it is. I'm not like super hyped about it, but that's just me. So tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, and let me get your final thoughts, KB.
Bucks_Barrett on Twitter. And then from a final thought standpoint, use this time to unplug, everyone. Like the past 2 weeks where I've been kind of unplugged, it's been huge for my own mental health. And I know a lot of people work from home, family, stress, all that. Just remember at the end of the day, treat yourself a little bit, turn off that phone, go on that extra day, go to that extra, beach or vacation. Just go do it, man.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna piggyback off of that because I've been playing Harry Potter and Hogwarts Legacy. I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy on PS5, and so I've been like in my own world for the past 3 weeks where I've just been playing this game, relentlessly playing this game, and it feels good. But it feels good to get on and talk football. It feels good to have people that check you out, like Bud Cannabis, people like Emily. People like Corey, just different people that, have been following us and watching, as we've grown. And we've got some really big surprises for you guys coming up in the regular season and things that we're going to work through to get to. And I've got some really good things that I think you guys are going to like. And we'll definitely be, as we get closer to camp and, preseason, we'll talk a little bit more about it. And before we go, I do want to shout out Rondé Barber. The Hall of Fame finally fucking got it right. Rondé Barber's in the Hall of Fame. Now we got to get Simeon Rice in there. But long overdue. At least he lived to see this. And it goes back to what I'm saying. I really believe that there needs to be a rotation. These fossils that you have in the Hall of Fame voting, they need to rotate them out. 4 years at the most, maximum 4 years. You're in there. They need to get new, fresh blood in there. They need to get podcasters in there. They need to get some radio personalities, different people in there than what they have, because this ain't it. This is not it. Get a few more gold jackets involved in the balloting, because these are guys that have actually played the game. So I really think they need to switch it up. I know it'll never happen because everything's corrupt. You know how things are corrupt. So it is what it is. But that's pretty much it. And let's see. So Emily is not going to hook up with the offensive coordinator. Kickers are a cap casualty. Yep, that's pretty much it. I was just kind of going through and making sure there weren't any things in the chat that I missed. But guys, we will try to do this next week. This is okay, Emily, I'm going to hold you to that. Emily, I will buy you tickets to the Super Bowl if this happens. You heard it right here on Buck What You Heard. You heard it right here. It's on video, so it's forever. 17-0, I will buy Emily Campo tickets to the Super Bowl. Trust and believe. But anyway.
Better be willing to sell that PS5.
Yeah, I may have to start an OnlyFans or something like that too. You never know, man, if it comes down to that. So, but anyway, we're out of here. Thank you guys. Great show, and I appreciate everybody in the chat. And we will be back again to talk about this. We're trying to put something together for draft. I may be going to Kansas City. I got enough PTO to do it. I don't like Kansas City, but I would go see some of the people that I know. Probably go down to University of Kansas and hang out. The best place in the Midwest is in Lawrence. So it is what it is. Well, anyway, guys, we're out of here. Have a good night. And again, Buck what you heard. Peace.